So here we have a great example of left-wing pretzel logic in action with this fact-check fail from the Washington Post. Democracy dies in darkness. We are in a constitutional republic, by the way. Trump keeps claiming that the most dangerous cities in America are all run by Democrats. They aren't. And this is an example of their kind of headline news only technique. You're not supposed to read the rest of the article. You're just supposed to read the headline, scoff with that smug sense of superiority, and continue parroting Orange Man Bad. So this is Philip Bump here, a rather desperate looking soul, and he's talking about how the president is pivoting to focus on law and order. A good election strategy, particularly with what we've seen lately. I would think it's a concern of many Americans. He says, over and over, Trump has shared that terse statement, law and order, with his tens of millions of Twitter followers. Oh, they hate that so much. And over, he has tried to imply that Democrats are soft on crime. Well, let's see. They allowed violent riots to take place. They allowed Antifa and BLM to set up a new country. And if that's not soft on crime, I don't know what is. They're allowing them to rip down statues. And then Democrats, particularly celebrities, are bailing these criminals out of jail. Soft on crime isn't even close. Actually supporting crime, I would say, but let's go on. Okay, that his likely general election opponent and other leaders in the Democratic Party are happy to have social structures collapse into anarchy for some unclear reason. Well, it is clear. They're attempting to set up a new world order. This has been the plan for a very long time, and you have to dissolve the current social structures. The phrase, tearing everything down. Burn it all down. This is the plan. And then you can establish some North American League or North American Union ruled by a puppet type president or prime minister like a Trudeau who has skeletons in the closet. And you can just take away everyone's rights, take away freedom. We'll have communism. So to make that case, Trump has repeatedly lifted up a statistical factoid. Yeah, nice rhetoric, as he did during an event on the White House on Wednesday. He said, quote, "You hear about certain places like Chicago, and you hear about what's going on in Detroit and other cities, all Democrat run," he said. "Every one of them is Democrat run. 20 out of 20. The worst 20, the 20 most dangerous, are Democrat run." Now, he says it's not clear how Trump is defining most dangerous in this context. Yeah, because he's giving a speech. Like this, it's off the cuff. I might stumble. I might be technically incorrect on some minor detail or flub a word. Yeah, it's called speaking in public. So let's look at two related sets of data compiled by the FBI. Most violent crime and most violent crime per capita. And so you can see that down here in these two graphs. Okay, so it covers 2019. The cities with the most violent crime are the most populous cities, as you might expect. Those with the highest come from a range of different states. And then this is the funny part. Most of the current mayors of these cities are Democrats, but 2 of them overall are independents. And 1 is a Republican. But it's Jacksonville, Florida, and Jacksonville flips back and forth if you look at the history of Florida. So, out of 20 cities, 17 of them are Democrat-run. And it helps to kind of dig into these charts a little bit because you can really begin to appreciate this is how they're saying Trump is liar, liar, pants on fire, because he's technically incorrect. So imagine if your spouse, you're like, hey, you want to go try that new restaurant? I've got 20 friends that have been there, and you're like, yeah, but all 20 of them got food poisoning. And your wife says, well, not all 20. 2 of them, their stomach was just mildly upset, and 1 of them said they were fine. You're like, yeah, I'm not going to that restaurant. As far as I'm concerned, functionally, that restaurant's going to make us sick. So you could see with the most overall crime, these are all Democrat run here. New York, LA, Chicago, Houston, Philadelphia, Memphis. Look at Detroit. Little Detroit is just like, I don't know, a third of New York, half of LA. Wow. Dallas, Phoenix, Baltimore, and here we get to the independents. And the thing with independents, Bernie Sanders is an independent, so you can look into whether they're left-leaning or not. That would be informative too. San Antonio, LA, Milwaukee, Nashville, Charlotte, Albuquerque, and at last, Jacksonville, Florida, which flip-flops back and forth, St. Louis, San Francisco, and Cleveland. And then when you go to the per capita, per 10,000 residents, it's all blue. Oh, wait, no. Springfield. Oops. Springfield. All of these cities, all blue. All Democrat run. All most violent per 10,000 residents. So Trump would no doubt shrug at that detail, decrying as fake news the revelation that his assertion was only slightly wrong. I mean, they admit in the body of this fact-checking article, he was only slightly wrong. Well, the man speaks in hyperbole. He's a showman. What if he said, come to this carnival, it's the greatest show on earth, or 100% satisfaction, or your money back. And this guy would come up and he'd go, well, I'm only 99.9% satisfied. And I'd be like, get out of here, man. This is the libs owning Trump. Wow. So he tries to defend the fact that Democrats are they let crime run out of control because, well, cities have more crime than suburban and rural areas. That's been true for decades, if not centuries, and is true across the planet. Wow, the whole planet and all of history. So, in other words, if it were the case that cities were also more prone to elect members of one party over another, it might seem as though the most crime-riddled places in America were a function of leadership from that party. Of course, that's Trump's point. Well, reader, I have a surprise for you. You are certainly aware that cities tend to be democratic. Yes. In other words, why? Why are cities so democratic? A few reasons. Well, there's more young people in cities. Young people that haven't paid taxes long enough to see the government ineffectually whiz away their money to go, I think it's time I pay a little less taxes. They're also recently out of college. College is quite the brainwash factory. And the other thing is cities are less densely white. We'll leave that one alone. What does that mean? Less whiteness, more crime? Is that what you're saying there? Whatever your name is? So, since there's a correlation between size and amount of crime, and between size and propensity to vote Democratic, it's problematic. Is it problematic to draw a causal relationship between crime and Democratic leadership? No, see, here's the thing. It's problematic. That's one of these thought-terminating cliches that the left loves to use. It's like, it's time. Why should I vote Hillary Clinton? Because it's time we had a woman. It doesn't mean anything. It's problematic. What kind of problem is it? You've got to be very specific. So you don't want to draw a causal relationship because it's a correlation. Now, here's the thing with correlations. Correlations indicate a general trend. I tend to feel happier on sunny days than I do on rainy days. Yeah, there's a correlation there, maybe a 0.6 or 0.7. Fairly strong, but not 100%. But here we could see there's a certain point where it goes from correlation to just cause and effect. If I take ibuprofen, and my headache goes away 9 out of 10 times, ibuprofen is causing the headache to go away. You at a certain point, you do cross the point from correlation just to straight causation, just to a 1-to-1 relationship. It's very, very close. So it's not problematic. In fact, it's incredibly rational when you see people toppling the government and establishing their own to say, maybe the leadership has something to do with this. If this were a corporation or a company and you had employees rioting and setting up their own independent companies within a company, like imagine going to a Walmart and finding out in the back corner of the Walmart there was a new store established by the employees, and they weren't doing anything, they weren't paying anything to Walmart, but they were stealing merchandise and then selling it. First of all, you'd crack down on those people, and second of all, you would look at the management team that allowed that to happen. So he acknowledges down here, he's not trying to make a point beyond cities and Democrats are scary. Well, you can frame it that way. He is making a point that Democrats and crime strongly correlate to the point of cause and effect. He's not going to win cities, but he might scare suburban voters. You let a few more Chazes pop up, and that may change. I love the little rhetorical framing. He's desperate. Well, then Biden desperately needs cities. Biden desperately needs the black vote. If the Democrats don't get 90% of the black vote, their party is in trouble. So that's Mr. Philip Bump. That's the Washington Post fact check that managed to inadvertently prove that Trump was right again.